conducting chemical experiments, the most important thing to keep in mind is safety. Safety procedures must be incorporated in the experimental plan, and the procedures must be strictly adhered to when conducting the experiment and during the subsequent cleanup after each experiment. At each of these stages, safe lab practices require a high level of care and attention. Prudent practices in the laboratory will ensure that experiments are performed safely and efficiently and that health risks are minimized. Before lab. 1. Safety precautions must be taken seriously. Before conducting experiments, general guidelines should be studied and strictly followed. In addition, you should study and follow any specific guidelines that are particular to the experiment that you are about to conduct. This information may include work conducted under extremely low or high temperature, work conducted under extremely high pressure or under vacuum, work that requires the use of or generates toxic or extremely toxic chemicals, especially gases. 2. You should familiarize yourself with all normal and emergency exits in the lab. 3. The names of the principal investigators or PIs and their contact information should be readily available and known to all lab workers. The contact information for the fire department, emergency medical team, environmental health and occupational health and safety officers, as well as the laboratory safety representative or LSR, should also be on hand. 4. You must familiarize yourself with chemicals and their hazards by studying safety data sheets or SDSs of those chemicals that you plan to use. Take extra measures to avoid risks as appropriate. 5. You must be familiar with all required personal protective equipment or PPE, including their proper function. Personal protective equipment must be worn at all times while conducting experiments, and spares must be available in the laboratory. These include gloves, either nitrile or latex. They should be chemical resistant and appropriate for the particular type of work you are doing. Goggles should cover your eyes and the area surrounding them. A gown or lab coat. The length should cover at least your knees or below. Sleeves should cover at least half and preferably all of the arm. Shoes. They should cover the entire foot. Open-toed shoes, sandals, and high heels are absolutely unacceptable. 6. You must familiarize yourself with the spill kit, including its location in the lab, contents, and the function of each component within the kit. The kit should be well maintained and readily accessible. 7. You must familiarize yourself with the emergency medical first aid kit. Be sure you know its location in the lab, its contents, and the function of each component within the kit in the event there is a need to apply first aid. The kit should always be well maintained and readily accessible. 8. Be sure you know the locations of other emergency stations, such as the emergency eye wash, the shower, and the fire extinguisher, and know how to operate them. This equipment must be in a prominent location and readily accessible. 9. Other things that you should be aware of include the locations of waste containers, as well as the procedures for the proper handling of waste materials. During lab. 1. Personal protective equipment must be worn at all times. 2. Do not eat, drink, smoke, chew gum or tobacco, or put on makeup in the lab. 3. If you have long, loose hair, tie it up. Tidy yourself up. Secure all loose clothing, as it may interfere with your laboratory work and could cause serious accidents. 4. Do not leave personal belongings or other items on the floor. The floor should be kept clean and clear of obstructions to avoid accidents due to tripping. 5. Do not play in the lab. All laboratory procedures should be considered potentially dangerous and require your full attention. 6. Be aware of your surroundings and be mindful of others in the lab. Notify others of the work currently being carried out, as well as any particular emergency protocols one must follow in case of an accident. 7. Do not use headphones while working in the lab. 8. When transporting chemicals between laboratories via common areas such as hallways, use secondary containers to carry them. This is to contain the chemicals and prevent spillage if the primary containers break or leak. This is especially important when transporting large quantities of reagents, for example, a gallon of solvent. 9. Remove your gloves before touching, holding, or coming into contact with common surfaces not involved with laboratory work. Example, doorknobs, telephones, drawer handles. 10. When entering a common area outside of the laboratory, such as a hallway and public restrooms, be considerate to others and remove your personal protective equipment. After completing work, 1. Remove all chemicals from the hood area and return them to their correct storage locations. 2. Treat and dispose of chemical wastes using the proper procedures for each particular type of waste. Label the containers clearly. 3. Dispose of used personal protective equipment properly in designated containers. 4. For those experiments that run overnight, be sure to write a brief description of the work being performed and post it in a clear, visible location for others to see and be aware of. Be sure to include the following information: the experimenter's name, the general scheme, if any, a list of the chemicals involved, the notebook number, and any other information that might be important for others to be aware of. References: Prudent Practices in the Laboratory, the CRI Chemical Hygiene Plan, the CRI Occupational Health Plan, the CRI Emergency Response Plan.